I mean, it's nothing new that I'm the one who's carrying this podcast anyway, so...
Simply must play.
There's nothing more likely than a bloke who takes a hanger, miss and a set shot straight after it.
Yeah, give it a listen.
Acting as if it's like a normal thing to do with salt and vinegar chips.
I'm in a mood, Rob.
How is this the little bonus content with Kevin Sheedy?
Who are we playing this week?
Who cares?
I reckon I'm 0 for 3 with creating segments at the moment.
For the love of God, don't lose to Carlton.
Parish was prolific. 2 litres stood tall. Laverde was possessed, and Tippa lit up the MCG. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Rob, and in studio today in revel in yesterday's win is Damo. G'day, mate. How are you?
Very, very, very happy.
Very happy.
Very happy.
Very happy. Not too hungover?
Not too hungover. Was very responsible yesterday, knowing that we didn't have a public holiday. Public holiday, if there was one, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, dangerous.
But had work today, so I was very responsible. Walked home from the G, got a nice little meal, sobered up a bit, and hit the hay. Although I really struggled to sleep, whilst the missus was sleeping, I had the AirPods in, highlights, interviews,
everything.
Rutton, everything, even Buckley, just smiling in bed with my phone, just watching Buckley, just watching him melt like, yes. Yes.
Can't ask for much more. A bit of housekeeping before we start today's show, everyone. Our Monday shows are now on YouTube. So if you're the type of person who likes to watch a video podcast and you want to look at our ugly lids when we're hungover on a Monday, you can check us out there, listeners. I'm doing the Sam Newman point at the camera over there. So if you want to see what we look like and find us and beat us up, now you can. The videos... So I'll be putting them up on Tuesday as well, just so you know, because I don't want to sit up all night editing on a Monday night. I need to get to bed in a reasonable hour. But search the Sash podcast on YouTube, subscribe there. I'll probably post some links on social media as well. Check them out. As well, before we jump into today's show, if you'd like to support and become a premium member, visit thehorde.com to subscribe. You can find the link on all of our social media pages. Damo, you're on the first premium show with Andy Lovett. It was a good evening, wasn't it?
That was so much fun. He's a very funny bloke and had some great stories and a really good interview as well. Very, very funny.
Yeah.
I think one of our best.
Yeah, I was pissing myself. He was hilarious. You and Murdy were in good form.
We'd had a couple bevies. I just got home. I couldn't stop talking to my girlfriend. She was just like, just be quiet.
Yeah. Mert was a bit starstruck. His idol was in the room and
he prepared for that. I was talking to him yesterday at the game. I was like, you prepared so much for it. Like, it felt like it was like Ray Martin, this is your life. Like, he was telling Andy about his whole life. And I was just sitting over there, just special comments I was, and we just let Mert run the whole thing. So it was very good. Definitely one of our best.
Lots of fun, more content like that coming. Today's show, of course, we'll be chatting to Paul Cousins about the VFL. They also got a wonderful win, but let's get straight into yesterday's performance. Relentless effort. That's what I've written here as my headliner, because outside of that first couple of goals at the start of the game, which is funny, similar to the COVID Anzac fixture, which was, paid in June or July last year, where they got a jump on us, but then we got it on our terms. We got humming, pressure all over the ground, and yeah, that was it for me. That was the trigger of me knowing that Essendon was on was when we got it back to level in that first quarter. Everyone was throwing themselves at the ball. The guys who are our pressure barometers, like your Devon Smiths, were right in the thick of the game, and I felt we were on.
It was like a new Essendon. The old Essendon, after those 3 goals, would have just crumbled.
Yeah.
Would have given up. And we kept fighting, and we did bring it back. And then I felt like the umpires... Look, I know we got lucky with that Tippa out of bounds one. That was most likely out. Or definitely out.
Definitely out.
And everyone keeps saying that the umpires were biased on us. But I think Collingwood were very, very lucky. And every time they kicked a goal after that first quarter, it was an umpire decision or a 50-metre penalty that they didn't deserve.
That 50-metre penalty, what was that for?
Oh, the umpire was just cooking it, I think.
Yeah, he said he cut through the line. He ran around behind him. It's like, oh, man, like if you need the guy kicking it, fair enough. But that was a shit call.
Yeah, so I thought we were going to lose momentum when, they were just kicking so straight. That's what was keeping them in the game as well. And I was like, oh, no. They're going to kick 2 here and we're just going to lose momentum. But we kept fighting back and then again they would come back and then we kept fighting. So I feel like that's sort of a new Essendon. So it was very promising to see that because every time we did concede, I was getting very nervous.
Yeah, we had an opportunity. Well, we had many opportunities to just put them at arm's length and keep a sort of 3-4 goal buffer for most of the game, but missed a few shots. Some I would say were pretty inexcusable. Some were a bit harder than others. But we had that opportunity, and it was like you've often seen sometimes in lots of games around the comp, and especially with us, where we might be 8 goals 7, but then the team who's 9 goals 1 just pinches it from us.
Yeah.
And it was nice that didn't happen. Funny you mentioned the Tippa one. So I was on the opposite pocket to that.
Yep.
And it was funny. I could literally see where I was. I was like, oh, that was out. And I was just waiting for the whistle to be blown. I was waiting for the score review or something, and then just they ran back to the middle, and I was like, that was good.
I couldn't tell, and
That was
the fact
nice.
that there wasn't like a replay or too many replays on the big screen,
Yeah.
Keo and I were like, it must have been out, because when they don't play the replay,
Yeah.
that's when they know that they've stuffed up. But
Yeah.
when I got home and I think I saw it on Reddit. That's how deep I was last night.
You're on
in bed.
Reddit. Don's
I saw
big like footy Reddit or Don's Reddit?
Don's Reddit.
Don's Reddit.
And I saw it and I was just like, yeah, that one's out.
I haven't spent much time on Don's Reddit. I
Look,
really should.
I couldn't sleep and I'd run out of content. I was like,
You finished Bomber Blitz.
I'd literally read everything
You
and I was
finished
like,
Big Footy. Facebook.
I'm getting
Insta.
I'm getting on Reddit.
Wow.
And actually, someone had altered the photo to make it look like the ball didn't go out of bounds on Reddit. So we can also put that one up. So that I had a little chuckle.
That's good. That's good. I like that one. Let's start off with the headliners, and I think we got to go with the man who won the Anzac Day medal. Prolific is what I said at the top, and he absolutely was. I'll ask you, is that the best game Darcy Parish has played for Essendon?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. He had like 1 goal 14 in the first.
Yeah.
He's what kept us going. So everyone, may have given up in that first quarter, and he just kept fighting. He kicked our first goal, and I'm pretty sure he may have even kicked our last. So
Yeah, or second last, yeah.
he was so good. So happy for him, and he just needs this. Like surely now he just never goes in the forward line unless
Yeah.
he's resting.
I think we should play him at back pocket.
Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
Yeah, it's funny. All the people, like we've said on this podcast, lots of Essendon people have said, we're not special for saying he should have played in the midfield.
No way.
Everyone was saying for it. Lots of AFL journalists as well. I think there's a few smug faces being like, oh, what a surprise. He actually plays well there. He had his opportunity. He's taken it. He stamped his authority on that. He's probably had probably had 2 best ons now. I think he was probably one of our best ons in the St Kilda game. Clearly was on the weekend. For me now, it's about backing it up.
Absolutely.
What takes you to being a really good midfielder is it's all well and good to get your high possession count and a few goals when the team wins. But the sign of a real A grade midfielder, especially the inside mids, is getting big stats when you lose.
It's consistency.
Like you look at, say, Jack Steele at St Kilda right now. St Kilda are woeful. They are one of the worst sides in the comp at the moment, but he's still in the
performing.
guts, fronting up, getting 25 plus each week, tackles, relentless. That's the level you've got to be. So if Darcy Parish wants to take that, go to the next step now, it's about backing it up in games where we lose. The Port game didn't perform that well.
Yep.
Brisbane didn't perform that well. I mean, collectively the side didn't.
Correct.
But he's now had 2 really good games this year. He'll be feeling pretty good about himself. But I want to see 25 touches in the guts, clearance work when we lose.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I want to see.
And it doesn't need to be 25 touches, but it's give us those, 6, 7 clearances, dish that ball out
Impactful.
and hit the scoreboard. I mean, he is going to rest forward sometimes, and geez, the 2 goals yesterday was so handy for us. So real happy for Das, but big test next week. He's got Cripper, he's got Walsh, he's got a couple other Carlton mids who are playing pretty well. Even though their team's not performing very well, they've still got a really good midfield.
They do. We're going to have to play some audio because I know you're pretty smug about this one. So
It's just, if everyone would have listened, they probably would have popped the same day multi on and they'd all be laughing like I was because my sports bet account went up in a couple of dollars yesterday.
So for those who didn't listen to our first premium pod, we did do a prediction at the end of the show, and Ryan was on the money. So here's that.
I'm going big here. We've had some bad years on Anzac Day, but we're coming back and we're going to clean up.
Yep.
I'm going to say Dons by 32.
Ooh.
And the Anzac Day medalist will be... Ooh, this is...
Get it out, mate.
This is tension.
I want a roughie.
You want a roughie?
Nah.
Ridley's not playing.
Darcy Parish.
Darcy Parish. There we go.
That's actually not bad.
It's actually not bad. There you go. So Andy Lovett said it wasn't bad at the time. Mert agreed with you, and you were spot on the money.
Bang on.
And you were 7 points off the margin as well. So that's pretty good.
We just missed a goal, like maybe a minute out as well. And I was next to Karen. I was like, Jesus, I said 32 in Parish. I was like, so close. So close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over the moon with that, but that just shows how good my knowledge is of the game and our team. So if Truck's listening, and if there's a spot on that coaching panel,
Yeah.
get me in.
Get me in. Yeah, get him in. He is the Oracle, and he is available. Next one, Jaden Laverde. Might have played
Unbelievable game.
Might have played the best game he's ever played for Essendon. We've just gone from a big credit. I'm going to throw out an apology here. And I'm going to throw someone under the bus who is in the room. I was kind of wish he showed it up, old Murdy. But
Correct.
We were very, very against the move to Jaden down back. Even in the preseason, in our little thread, we're all like, what's going on here? This isn't working. We thought he was a good target. He presented well. Yeah, he can be a bit inaccurate in front of goal, but we thought it was the right thing going forward to have him there as that guy. He played a few decent games this year, like serviceable, didn't light the world on fire. But here he is in a situation where he's thrown into the deep end. He's now basically having to play as our fullback, the defensive anchor, whatever you want to call it. And he played remarkably well. He intercepted well. He read the ball. He got a nice 50 metres and managed to convert the goal, which helps having spent time forward. He outpositioned Mychek. I was really worried that Mychek was going to have a good game.
Yeah,
and
he's a big body as well.
And he was almost like had no impact. I think he kicked that one goal towards the end of the game, which did put them in front at the start of the last. But
Apart
really,
from that,
really had no impact. And Laverde's just stepped up in the absence of Francis and all the other guys who are out of the side. And suddenly I'm now going, this is a guy who could be a defender for us the next 4 or 5 years. Someone who, start of the season, we were worried about his future, but he's looking good now.
And he even outbodied Darcy Moore in the contest, which was right in front of Kerwin and he just did it so well. The timing was perfect, and he took players on. He'd collect the ball in front of Pendlebury, spin, dished it out, allowed us to get a couple fast breaks, especially in the last quarter. So it was huge. So not only do we probably need to apologise to him, but also to Rutten.
Yeah, Truck, I'm sorry, mate.
We're sorry. And it's Mert's fault.
And it's all Mert's fault.
Mert was the biggest critic.
Mert, your dog of the week. That's Mert, your dog of the week.
Dog of the year.
Dog of the year. Dog of the millennium.
Just a dog.
Yeah, so look, we got that run wrong, and that's what happens sometime in football. But you got to have an opinion. It's easy to always criticise someone in hindsight, but I'll put my hand up and be the first one to say, I was wrong. Jaden looks like he's very comfortable down back. He reads the ball well. And I'm going to jump ahead in the run sheet. He's a bit down, but I want to talk about his co-pilot in defence in Mason Redmond.
Yeah,
I thought Mason Redmond was incredible.
And kicked another goal.
Kicked another mint goal.
Didn't do his hammy this time either.
Didn't do his hand this time. I'll throw this one to you. When it comes to just throwing yourself at the ball, is Mason Redmond the toughest bloke in our team?
There was one that probably happened right in front of you because I was on the other side of the ground. He just went head straight in. Looked like he probably wasn't getting it up. He's ruthless.
Yeah.
Boy from Millicent. He's a gun.
His dad's a lobster farmer.
There you go.
Fisherman, lobster farmer. He's growing him in the dirt. No, he's a lobster fisherman. So he knows how to do the dirty work.
He's probably loaded.
He's probably loaded. But he knows how to do the dirty work. And
he's got an elite disposal as well.
Yeah.
He had one mare in the first quarter where he was coming off half back and he got it from someone. He just kicked it out in the open space for Tippa, and that was probably a bad start for him. But after that, he had a really great game and impacted well.
Yeah, because the 2019 Redmond, maybe it was 2018. I get my years confused, but the 2019 Redmond was
2019 Redmond was really good.
It was really good. He was running off half back. He provided heaps of running carry, tough with the ball, was winning one-on-ones. 2020 hit a really bad year. He got beaten quite a few times by small forwards. He
sort of got put on as like a lockdown defender when really he's not. So
exactly. So it was hard for him. But looking at our backline shaping up for the future now, ideally, you've got him and Laverde as these mid-sized defenders who maybe they have to take a small, maybe they have to take someone slightly bigger than them, but they can move from position to position and build a pretty good cohesion there between two mid-sized defenders, knowing that small size, we've got Hindy there and as a rebounder, Heppel as well as a bit of a rebounder. And then now it's just about making sure that those bigger posts are locked down.
So we've got Ridley and Francis for the next
you know,
And then you've got Reed
ideally,
and
BZT
and
ideally
BZT,
coming through. Well,
which is a hard one. I'm still like battling with BZT. I'm not sure.
yeah, I am as well.
I'm not sure where he's at. I feel like some of his decision making is slow, and decision making is the wrong one as well.
Yeah,
Um,
he definitely didn't have his worst game. Like, he's definitely had more trouble than that, but it just really did feel on the weekend that anytime they were going deep to those big guys, Darcy Cameron in particular, and at times also more, they were scoring. And quite a few times they were getting outmarked, and you know, we were just undersized generally. That was the case.
We're just in this weird period where we're waiting for Zach Reed to develop, and the only other person we can use at the moment
just become
is
mid.
BZT. So we got Harry Mackay coming up this week,
which is a worry.
and he's huge.
He's a worry.
So
He's in
you
form.
can't put Zach Reed on him. He'll just push him away. So you know, BZT will have to line up on him, and he'll have a pretty big day, unless the likes of Hooker just makes his way back into the back line. But he's too influential in our forward line and bringing the ball down for our small forwards.
Yeah, or I guess Paddy Ambrose is playing forward in the VFL. Who knows? No, we can ask Paul about him later. Anyway, issues around key posts in the back line moving forward. But to start on where I did begin, I'm very happy with Jaden Laverde, and I'm very happy with Mason.
We went on a tangent there, but yeah, very happy. We just want some consistency as well, so keep going.
Yeah, this is how the Sash pod works. There's a run sheet in front of me, but the reality is I'm way off. I have notes here. Here are my thoughts around things, and then I just go off in tangents.
Yep.
Let's get back to the run sheet though. Probably second best on ground was Waller.
Yep.
Tippa. He made Jack Madgen look second rate. Not that Jack Madgen's an amazing player, but he made him look second rate.
He just put smiles on grown men's faces. It's what happens.
Yeah.
You literally looked around the G, and there was just 50% of the guys were over the moon, and 50 guys were pretty flat. Just so good. He doesn't need to touch the ball that many times. I remember looking up at the screen, he had 7 disposals for 3 goals at one stage. So he was getting in all the right places. Kicked 2 of those goals around Pendlebury as well. So
That was good.
that's great.
It makes me feel good.
And he was just so accurate. I don't know how many shots he had at goal. Was it 5? Was it 5 straight?
Let me double check the stats. I'm pretty certain it was 5 straight. Yeah, it was. It was 5 straight.
And then also his pressure. His pressure was second to none. He was ruthless. And our forward pressure is obviously something that's been highlighted this year. And he's leading the way. Just over the moon for him as well, because he'd been quiet a little bit. So hopefully he can take that into the Carlton game.
Big time. Yeah, that's the thing. He's just
on Sardi as well.
On Sardi, which would be mint if he can give him a bath. But it's just he's just his positioning around goals, and like it's funny how for so long we're always like, why are we bombing on Tippa's head? When it's the right matchup and the ball is kicked to the right space, Tippa is very good at positioning himself well, out-bodying someone. And that's the thing. If it goes to ground and it's 20, 30 metres from goal,
he's on.
You back him in. And as soon as he picks it up, he's so hard to tackle. He slips, he ducks, he dives, he does everything he can. Sometimes he cops a free, sometimes he wears it, and then, you know, as we saw on the weekend, he puts it through. Like, we know he's got that ability, and one of his best games. You mentioned forward pressure there. Now, this is something I want to talk about. So, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I forget, where we were listed as Champion Data's best pressure side.
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And so we were equal top for tackles around the ground, which is good. That's not a bad thing at all. But I said, if we really want to go to the next level, we have to be up there for inside 50 tackles, which is where Melbourne are at the moment. I'm pretty sure the Doggies are up there as well. That's the real indicator of a good side. So here are some stats for you. So against Hawthorn, we had 11. Against Port, 5, 8 against St Kilda, 12 against Sydney. We had 6 against Brisbane. Obviously, in the wet, it's a bit hard. Guess how many tackles we had against Collingwood this weekend?
Well, if Sydney,
in the inside forward 50.
If Sydney was 12, I'm assuming it's better than that. So I'm going to go 15.
It was 21.
What?
So it was nearly double our best.
That's crazy.
That's how much pressure was on there. And it's a collective effort. Like you mentioned Tippa there as well. Devon Smith, someone who I've gone after quite a bit. And it's funny. Dev Smith is almost our pressure barometer. Like, not a game barometer, but like it comes to our tackling and pressure game. If Dev's getting, you know, high single digits,
everyone else is just getting
everyone else is getting involved. And he was absolutely on there. Stringer got 8, McGrath 7, Heppel 7, Merritt got 6.
Paco was great.
Paco was great. Let's talk about Paco. You're wearing a Paco tee, I can see, which is good. If you want to show it to the camera there for the people who deciding to watch on our YouTube. Talk to me. What do you make of his game?
Oh, look, he's obviously just a burst player. He sort of dies out in and out of stages, but after they kicked those 3 goals at the start, he just was a bull in the middle. I think Mert posted some videos to me today. He just was getting tackled and getting the ball, and like you would have thought he'd just get tackled and wouldn't be able to get the ball out. He just fights, gets it out, and then we get the clearance, and it led to goals. So I think his clearance work was underrated on the weekend, but just all around the ground, he's just a scary prospect for a defender in the forward line. But he still does look like he's a little wobbly or a little heavy still. So, but he enjoys to carry the weight.
He was, look, I mean, I thought he was moving pretty well. It was funny. I remember watching him run off the ground. And I was like, geez, he's running off the ground pretty quickly, which was a weird thought. But he's probably one of the only guys, I mean, actually, no, I would say he's probably the only guy in that midfield group who can like properly wear a tackle and just break out and be able to get their hands out. And that's the thing of, like you're saying, taking people on. Like, you know, McGrath, Parish, Merritt, they'll be clever and position themselves and pop on up or under or whatever to do. Where he literally just goes at guys and breaks through. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but it like a few times it paid off. To the point where the Collingwood midfield group is so aware that he's going to do this, that as soon as he gets him, it's 2-on-1, 3-on-1 are going to him, which means it
opens up out of the play.
Exactly. Which is what it was doing. So,
and he almost took the biggest hanger. It was so far away from me. It was right in front of you.
Right in front of me. Yeah. It was almost like, it was funny. Hooker was almost like placing it in his hand, but maybe also in a sense kind of accidentally spoiled him. But that would have been huge. And it was right in front of the Collingwood cheer squad as well.
Would have been so sweet. So sweet.
They were so sour. The Collingwood cheer squad.
Oh, well, they're going to have a rough year.
They're going to have a rough year. They are in.
They're 17th on the ladder.
They are in all sorts. Like, I still think we're going to finish bottom 6. But we're on an upwards trajectory.
Absolutely.
We hit a down spot end of last year. We've gone in the draft. We're rebuilding. We're going in the right direction. Whereas Collingwood are paying a ruckman $7 million. Collingwood have Mason Cox in the VFL.
So good, and he's going to get suspended. I reckon he tripped someone.
Did he?
Yeah,
I didn't. I was at a birthday. So I didn't get to
I
see
was
the
deep
game.
on Reddit the other night.
Oh, you were deep. You were so deep. Got any Don's conspiracies for me or?
Nah, just ones that Mert yells at me every week.
Don's conspiracies. Who else do we need to give some raps to?
2-litre Peter.
2-seater.
And an apology needs to come from me as well. At halftime, I was just like, fuck. Like he was a bit slow. He wasn't hitting any of his hand passes, and all we needed was a quick dish. I said in our group at halftime, I just said, come on, 2-metre. Got to give me something.
Yeah.
And he listened.
He did.
He answered my prayers.
He did. Very funny one. So firstly, there was a group behind me of, it was like neutral Essendon, mix of Essendon Collingwood people, and they were like, me and my mates were like, 2-litre, screaming 2-litre. And this girl's like, so why do they call him 2-litre? And the guy's like, rhymes with 2-metre. and then by the end of the game, they were all cheering 2-litre as well. But
how good's that?
In the forward pocket that I was at, there was I can't remember which Collingwood player it was, but they had the ball sort of just up on the wing to go inside 50, and he was just kind of just meandering in sort of no man's land. And I was just like, what are you doing? You're the biggest guy on the ground. Get back and get the mark.
Yeah.
And just like, I was too far back. I was like, I was row like double D, so like I'm pretty far back. He would not have heard me, but suddenly he was just like, hold on, I must run back. And he ran back and then took it with the flight.
Got it so cleanly.
And this old lady is just like, you should be the coach. And I was just like, I should be the coach, shouldn't I? But awesome second half.
And the 2 snags.
And it shows.
They were difficult kicks as well.
All right, can we never put him back as our sole ruckman, please?
Yep.
As a pinch hitter.
He actually said in the post-game interview that he enjoyed, the ruck battle. It got him into the game, gave him a little bit of confidence because he was very nervous. Yeah. But he needed that game. Just get the ghost off his back. He needed it. That was his breakout game. And, geez, Carlton would be worried.
Yeah, well,
he needs to stay forward.
Yeah, well, that's it. As a pinching ruckman who's spending 5 minutes of a game doing, for the centre bounces or for 5 minutes of a quarter, and then also rucking forward or wherever he has to be in position, that's fine. But as the number one ruck whose job is to follow around the other number one ruck, he's just not up to it. Yep. He does compete and ball goes to ground and that's good, but he's much better as a forward. He's shown that he can be a good set shot for goal. Of the 3 guys who we had brought in, trade-wise. Obviously, Caldwell showed a bit, then got injured. Hindy's been amazing, but Peter was the one who really was yet to impress the Essendon faithful.
Absolutely.
And I think he's done that.
Definitely.
And I'll throw Phillips into this as well.
Who had a great goal.
Who did have a great goal.
Yep.
And, push Brodie Grundy.
Absolutely.
Best thing about his game is spoil work.
Yep.
So many times the balls came across and just throw it the fist. And what's funny was Brodie Grundy goes to the mark all the time because Brodie Grundy is all about Brodie Grundy. That's what he wants to do. Don't get me wrong, he's an amazing player, but very little do you see him come over the top and go at the fist. Phillips was just playing the percentages. I'm going to go for the fist. Both those guys, though, what they were doing well is that after the tap, which most of the time they weren't winning, it's that few seconds afterwards.
The follow-up work. That's
what they were doing well. Yep. And that's all you can ask of a ruckman when they're playing against probably the second best ruck in the comp. So
very happy with both of them.
Yeah.
They worked so well.
Yeah.
So
now we can put Phillips on ice until the next Collingwood game and we can play Nick Bryan.
Well, yeah, I'm interested to hear what Paul Cousins has to say because I think one of our mates, Lockie, said he watched the game and he was very impressed with Nick Bryan.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
But Mark Pittonet's a pretty strong boy, so we may have to keep Phillips in there.
We may have to. Let's go. We'll do a couple more, and then we'll get to the fan questions. I'll talk. I wouldn't say this is a negative. This is more of just my thoughts and opinions. Harrison Jones had no impact for the first three quarters.
Yep.
I think he laid like one okay tackle, but really just did nothing.
Yep.
As the people tired, he managed to get a couple of marks, get a shot on goal. He set up the Peter Wright eventual goal as well.
Yep.
And this isn't me potting people and people don't go up and go, oh, you kind of go at young players. I think Jones, he's had a nice 6 games in the seniors. I think it might be time for him to just have a couple of weeks in the VFL, find some footy, kick some goals, because he really hasn't done much the last couple of weeks. And look, I was so dead set on that at 3/4 time. I know he came into the game in the fourth. We don't really have many options of people to come in.
Yep.
But I'm starting to feel that he might be tiring a little bit.
Look, not sure if it's tiring, but first of all, to have a pretty quiet first 3 quarters and then step up in the fourth, find his confidence, that's a hard thing to do.
Credit to him. I'll give him that.
So that's great. He stood up when we needed him. But in terms of his position, I'm just trying to think, like, no one can really come in. So Waterman got dropped, which I was pretty flat about. I thought that Waterman didn't deserve to be dropped. But I'm not sure if Harrison needs a confidence boost yet, because is it going to be beneficial? Because sometimes it does, much worse than good.
Sometimes it can do bad things. I think it does bad things when someone comes in, plays one game, and they're very young and they get dropped. But this is a guy who's had 6 weeks of footy. He's played a couple of good games. He's had a couple of bad games. He's a key position player, and for mine, I would rather see a guy have a couple of weeks where he's marking, getting lots of ball, kicking goals, in a decent level, versus playing a couple more AFL games where he might have 5 touches and 1 shot on goal.
Yep.
So that's my rationale behind it. Now, this is the thing. This might not happen. It's just a question. It was a thought that I had during the game. I was just like, he does seem a little bit off the pace at the moment. But like you said, we don't have many options of people to come in. There's a couple of guys in the VFL who are even rawer than he is.
Yeah.
Maybe Waterman can come back in.
I'm trying to think about the Carlton backline. So you've got Wiedering.
Wiedering and Jones are really good.
So you've got Hooker, who will be taken by Jones or Wiedering.
Probably Wiedering. And then Jones will take Peter
Wright.
Yeah.
So then they sort of don't have a third tall.
It's like Lockie Plowman. Yeah.
So look, I'd be happy to roll the dice and go Harry one more game. Look, Anzac Day. Big lights, get nervous.
Yeah.
Now he's got rid of those nerves on big game, whack him back into another one, and let's see if he can perform. If he doesn't, then maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah, I think he's getting. He might not be there yet.
He provides a great option.
He does provide a great option.
And his leading patterns are good.
And
so.
I think he's going to be a really good player. I just feel like he's hit a bit of a low form the last few weeks. Hasn't had much of an impact. And it might be beneficial for him to go back.
I don't mind. But even Waterman, I thought he was stiff.
Yeah. Oh, we just love the new blokes. Let's go to the fans. I can't believe we haven't talked about Nick Cox yet, but I'm sure someone here has mentioned him, so we'll discuss it from there. Pretty simple. Highlights of the game. Let us know. Jeff Hahn. G'day, Jeff. The standout highlight for me was Collingwood losing. Always a special occasion when Collingwood lose. It will never get old. Well, you're spot on, Jeff.
I missed it. and it was great.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been at the G and seen them lose. It's been too long.
That was my first game at the G since the last Collingwood game.
Yeah.
So, geez, that felt good.
It was nearly 300 days. I think they said it was on the
Too long.
Yes, too long is the answer. Didn't read the next one.
Yeah, next one here, our fan favourite, Danny Namoni, Darcy Parish. Get around him.
Huge.
Tippa's 5 goals, especially the one considered out of bounds, which pissed on the Magpie bonfire, and Nick Cox. That's our unicorn. We love our Coxie.
He's a unicorn.
I think the biggest highlight for him was his intercept marking. So when Collingwood were coming out of their rebound 50s, he intercepted like 2 in the space of 5 minutes, and it was great. The quick spin he did on the boundary on one of the Collingwood players and burnt him.
Oof.
So good. His decision making is great. Look, we should probably stop talking about him because we're
hyping him up so much.
Every week we're just like, Nick
Cox.
And he still hasn't got a Rising Star nomination yet because
he'll get it.
Yeah. And he won't get it this week because that Phil Thorpe guy kicked 5 for the Crows in his debut.
In his first game.
Not bad.
Not bad. Next one's from Craig Cannavaro. G'day, Craig. For the first time in a long time, I'm happy to say that the boys are playing for the jumper. Rutten has made a conscientious decision to bring the players into the fabric of our great club. The players seem to realise it is a privilege to pull on the red and black jumper. On the second biggest stage of the year, this, my fellow supporters, was evident, lest we forget. Couldn't agree with you more, Craig. Like, it was funny in the off-season, like, you know, despite the fact that we're all a bit down, knowing that we probably weren't going to have the greatest year, we were all getting around all the stuff Essendon was putting out about all the young boys, getting amongst the Essendon culture, meeting former players, reading the history books, all the stuff they're doing at the hangout. We were really getting around that. And then Rutten has brought in a game plan and brought in, you know, this blue-collar footy that they're talking about, that this is the way we're going to play. You're in or you're out. It was probably they were probably in this conversation this time last year, which is why there are players who are now out. But this is what it was about. It was, we're all going to buy in, we're all going to have a crack. And you could see that. Everyone was buying into the way this game plan works.
Absolutely.
And you know what I love is, even though it didn't seem like it was a slow sort of ball movement, but we were playing good tempo footy. We were marking it. We were assessing our options. Someone was leading into space, and then we'd hit a short pass, and it would go, you know, it would go from Laverde to Langford, Langford to Ham to Merritt, Merritt to Parish, Parish inside 50, and then that's where we'd be. And sometimes teams, when they're playing kick mark, possession football, you know, uncontested mark style, it can look very slow, but it just looked measured for me. And it seems like this plan they're all buying into. And
it's just the culture they're all buying into. And you can just see, like, the video of when Zach Reid was told that he was going to debut and all the boys getting around him. You can see them on social media. It's like a nice new brotherhood that they've got going. When Das won the medal and when he came back, the club put up a photo, and, like, if you zoom in, like, every player is just so pumped. Like, they're just so happy. So looks like we've got a really good culture going on there.
Next one.
Alex Femlonga, being wrong about 2 metre Peter. I gave him shit early, but he stood up when it mattered. So you and I, Alex, big apology.
Big apology. Yeah, I think there was a lot of people at halftime who will certainly question Mr. Leader, 2-seater. 2 readers. I don't know. Me and my friend were just sitting there trying to come up with things that rhyme with meter.
There's a few.
Yeah, there's a few. If you think of any better ones, people please send them in. Yeah, he stood up. Love it. Philip Mackay. G'day, Phil. Aside from Waller and Parish, who were incredible, I thought our big Sauce Ruck combo were brilliant against Grundy. I was really worried about that heading in, and they were so good. Laverde and Jones also did some great things. Paco very good without the stats reflecting it. The emotion on Francis' face when he was subbed out was amazing to see how invested he was. What a game. Now, Truck did say in his presser that Aaron Francis' sprained ankle was not good enough to come back on, says Rutten. So that makes me believe that we're not talking cinders here.
I think he's going to play.
You think he's? Yeah, I think he's going to play.
He's going to play. I did analyse the video of all the boys singing after the game, and he walked in his runners, no limp and no ice on,
no cinders.
I think he's on.
We might have. I mean, look, we'll wait till Tuesday when the medical report comes out. But for once, we may have dodged the dreaded syndesmosis.
Potentially. Although we may have just mozzed it right.
We may have mozzed it. Touch wood. Touch things, touch the mic, whatever you need to touch. Don't touch that. Touch something, and hopefully Francis is okay.
Fingers crossed.
Because he's been pretty handy, Franger.
He's had a really good year.
Yeah.
Really, really good year.
Really battled last year. A lot of people did. But he's starting to find his feet as our
third.
Third
second?
tall, second tall.
Yeah.
He's playing the Hurley role that we've seen for many years.
Yep.
The quarterback, whatever you want to call it, the guy who's really directing traffic. And I felt like him and Ridley were starting to get a pretty good sort of
great communication between the two of them. Really good continuity.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for all parts, like continuity is everything in footy.
Yep.
But I feel like the back six is where it is probably the most important. Just knowing where guys like to position themselves, how they're going to help each other out.
And I think it's also the
working to each other's
communicating whilst not having to look at each other because know everything's moving behind you. So he's having such a good year.
Next one,
Sam Austin, bit left field, but I thought Braden Ham and Nick Cox were brilliant yesterday. Both aerobic beasts and provide vital links for our attack, coupled with elite kicking. Reckon Ham has gone under the radar too this year with the emergence of Cox, but both of them putting together really good years. Ham's been great. He's been accumulating the ball heaps. Sometimes by foot, it's the right option, but he doesn't execute it.
Yeah.
But having a really, really good year, especially for his size. And obviously, we don't need to talk about Nick Cox.
Well,
Braden Ham's the big one there, yeah.
Braden Ham's had a really good year, and I've spoken about this a few times. So he for the umpteenth time. So he was Sam Walsh's group at Geelong Falcons, and he was the vice captain to Sam Walsh.
Yep.
We all know how good he is, but the raps always on Braden Ham was that his skills were mint, elite skills, and it's getting better. I think. Fine, he's no by means perfect, but him and Coxie are providing us those link options. And for so long, it always felt like we really struggled to transition. In past years, if it wasn't that helter-skelter run it through the middle of the ground with certain people that we're not going to speak about, if it wasn't that, we couldn't move the ball. But now in this game where sometimes we might run it, sometimes we go forward handball, sometimes we do the kick mark thing, we've got two guys who are very good options. And what I've really found with Ham is that his positioning has been great. He's always finding space, whether it be just outside offensive 50, somewhere on the wing. Whilst, he's probably not going to win a big one-on-one mark against someone, but he's clever enough to go, that's where the space is, that's where I've got to get to be, run his guts out to be there, and then he gets on the end of the chain. Yeah,
yesterday we had a good mixture of going through the middle and lateral movement, and he was, a part of both of those. So he's running in all the right places.
Yep. Next one, Lockie Dinger. G'day, Lockie. Definitely a real name.
100%.
The 29 beers I had at the pub afterwards. So
love that. And we're probably assuming that Lachlan was at the Royal as well.
Probably the Royal. Oh, most people are. I had a funny story about that. One of my mates who lives on Richmond Terrace, his family's from England. His grandparents had come down for a funeral or something like that. And his granddad was like, every day he's like, I'm just going to go for a walk, blah, blah, blah. And then one day he's just like, they were meant to meet at 5 to go somewhere. And it's just like, where's Granddad? Where's Granddad gone? He's at the Royal. Granddad's just he's been around for a couple of weeks, and then he's gone, oh, there's a bar here that's what they do here. Okay, interesting. And there you go. So old Granddad
never came home.
Still there today. Good one. Also, shout out to someone called Douglas who met Adrian last night and wants to get on the show. Interested to meet you, man. So
I don't know anything about this, but I'm interested.
I don't know. Someone that my friend Adi, who works in the same office, met and introduced me to, and sent a video of the gentleman, and he looks like a funny character. So anyway, might meet you one day, Doug. Let's take a breather. Up next, Paul Cousins will be joining us. But before we do, here's a grab of the chat we had with Andy Lovett. For those who haven't heard it yet and didn't sign up to Premium as of yet, please enjoy, and then we'll be back with Paul Cousins.
I actually said this to Murph and he laughed at me, and I was taking a piss a bit, but they all thought I was a bit serious. And I'll tell you this on the Sash pod because I'm a little bit honest.
Yeah.
I said, look, any chance I'll be invited to the Brownlow after this? This is in warm down, right? And they're like, come on, Lovey, are you fucking... I said, well, I was good Anzac Day. I was good today. Is there any chance that I could be a chance? And, I would have thought...
Did you get invited?
It's round 8.
I never got invited that year.
No.
So he put in a word with Sheets, he would have got you there.
Look, I wasn't an arrogant person, and it probably all come across as if I was. I was just confident within myself. And I was a bit of a cheeky lad.
Yes.
But I definitely thought, look, I'm going all right here, a couple of games, do I get a couple of votes? Am I a chance? Never got an invite to any Brownlow in my 5-year career.
Probably had some stiff competition, though.
And fair enough, too, though. I've had some great players around me.
Yeah.
So, look, I was happy to take a back seat.
Welcome back. It's that time again for the VFL Wrap with Paul Cousins. G'day, Paul. How are we?
2 wins, boys. 2 wins on the weekend. How do we think I am?
Oh, over the moon, mate. Over the moon, I imagine.
Best Monday of the year.
It beats losing, doesn't it?
It certainly does, mate. It certainly does. So, boys were down at Vic Park on Saturday. Got a nice jump in the first term, but Pies clawed back in the second. How'd you see the first half of the game?
It was good to start well because we got absolutely mugged at the start last week. So it was good. The boys, put a fair bit of effort into that and really sort of learnt their lesson from the week before. So that was good. We got away early, and then it actually rained just on quarter time and early in the second quarter, and the Pies probably handled that a little bit better initially than we did. It was, the guys really steadied and we went away from there, which was pleasing.
So in the third quarter there, the boys put their foot down, kicking 6 goals full there, Paul. Who stepped up in your eyes?
It was a combination of our midfield group and our forwards. We probably wasted a few chances early. Yep. And through the second quarter as well. I don't think, the game probably didn't turn that much in general play. We just probably didn't convert our chances that well for a period. And then, in the third quarter and through the last, we were able to take our chances a bit better. So through the midfield, that was guys like Joe Atley, I thought was really good in there. Nick Bryan was fantastic in the ruck again. And really got on top in the second half, and he had a really high quality opponent in Mason Cox for a lot of the day, and showed that playing against an AFL body didn't bother him. That's for sure. So
that's great to hear.
And then forward, Alec Waterman was really good. I think for the day, he had 7 shots on goal. I think he kicked 2, 4, and 1 out of bounds or something. But he certainly got plenty of shots, found the ball well, and it's actually a little known fact, but it was actually my fault that he was spraying them, because in the warm up pre-game, I was kicking out from the goal square and absolutely sprayed 2 at him that missed him by about 30 metres. So,
was it windy down there, Paul?
No, not remotely. So I have no excuse at all, and I clearly set the tone that he followed. So I'm happy to wear the wrap for that one.
Was he was he mainly just staying deep forward, or did he spend much time at the ground at all?
No, he played pretty close to goal most of the day.
Yep.
He let out. He and sort of Paddy Ambrose played pretty deep forward, and they actually worked for each other really well.
Yep.
Sort of putting blocks on and stuff, so that one could get up the ground and sort of hit up at the footy while the other stayed deeper. So that combination actually worked really well. Paddy was good as well, and which was really pleasing to I don't think they'd played together prior to that, so they formed a good combination and got plenty of shots on goal, which was we didn't take all our chances, but certainly they'd be happy with how many shots they generated.
Yeah, Tommy Cutler finished with a pretty good stat line of 27 disposals and 3 goals. How would you say his overall game was?
Yeah, it's actually, I was just thinking as I answered that question, I really should have mentioned cuts by now. I think he kicked 3 in about 5 minutes in the third.
Okay.
Which really sort of set us alight. I think it was the third, could have even been the second quarter, but he's running carry up the ground and, was outstanding all day. He really got on the end of a lot of chains out of our back half and found a lot of footy. He must have had near enough to 30.
And did he start in the middle? Or was he playing in the wing?
Yeah, he spent some time inside, but the majority of his day was out on the wing.
Okay, nice.
And really that sort of running between the arcs, that hard running that he's pretty famous for.
Yep.
And was able to hit the scoreboard with 3 or 2 outstanding long sort of running goals and one a little bit closer. And one of them, I think he drew from about 60 plus. So, he had a really good day, Cuts.
Beautiful. Best on ground, would you say?
Certainly in the conversation. Yeah, no doubt.
A nice one. Ned Cahill playing down back again. How'd you see little Ned's game?
He was good, Neddy. I think when we talked last week, I said that after half-time last week, he went into the middle and had an impact after what was a pretty disastrous first half for him and the group in general. He spent some more time inside this week as well as some time down back and really sort of carried on his second half form from last week, which was good. So him and Lockie Johnson both spent some time inside. They both sort of, we're really trying to develop a game style where we're a sort of first give game style in the middle there. Yeah. We want to, we want everyone to sort of know what each other's doing. So if hands are on from that first contest, we want to give it and get the footy outside. So they're both really good at that. They're both really good at giving that sort of first give on the up. And they both were able to do that on the weekend and sort of generate, some movement out of the middle for us. So, he was good, Nettie. And as I said, Jono was pretty solid as well.
That's great. Now, I know we've already touched on Nick Bryan just a little bit, but I just want to ask a little bit more questions, and as we will every week, Paul. How do you think he's going? Is he AFL ready? You said he handled the
Coxie.
AFL body of Cox. Do you think we're probably seeing him come in maybe within the next 3 weeks?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? I do think he's AFL ready. Yeah, I do. Yep. And I have, to be honest, since the start of the season. His pre-season form was really strong. He played pretty much all of our practice matches and played really well. He's in cracking form at that point. And for whatever reason, balance or whatever, he didn't come in. But he was certainly ready to, I think.
Yep.
And then by the time they sort of did decide to go with another ruckman with a ruckman in the AFL team, Flip Andrew Phillips had sort of come back and played really well as well, and obviously had a really positive history against Brodie Grundy, who he played on the weekend, having sort of touched him up last year. So. So in the end, he's probably really stiff, Bryza, in that it was, I think, just a timing issue. To be honest, I think had we played any other team last week, he probably would have been the one to play.
Yep.
Without knowing, I just sort of had that feeling. So,
no, it's good to know that we've got another ruckman, developing in the lower ranks. So that's really positive for our club.
Yeah, and he is a genuine ruckman, but when the footy hits the ground, he's another midfielder. So he's sensational below his knees, not unlike a Brodie Grundy type. Obviously, not comparing him to Grundy, but that style of player where when the footy hits the deck, some ruckmen are hopeless when that happens. Grundy's sort of broken the mould a bit with ruckman in becoming that sort of almost that ruck rover role. And Bryza really imitates that, and I think is probably a bit bigger than Grundy too, but his hands below his knees are sensational.
Yeah, lovely. One last AFL player before I pick your brain about a few of the VFL boys. You mentioned him earlier, Paddy Ambrose, kicked a couple of goals. Did he play full game?
He did, yeah. He after I think I mentioned he went into like a full body spasm up in Queensland the week before.
Yeah,
midway through the last quarter, just through lack of condition in the heat and everything else. He got through really strongly. Actually, ran out the game well, and he's. I mean, we know he's a super fit bloke, but he also sort of runs himself into the ground. So, he got through really well. They'd be very pleased with how he got through, I think.
Lovely. Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Baker on the VFL list that I've never heard of before. So I'd like the lowdown if you can give it to me, Paul. I
can indeed. So Bakes actually came down and trained with the AFL list over the pre-season as he was going for that SSP spot that Alec Waterman ended up getting. So there were three guys came down to trial for that last list spot. They were Alec Waterman, Charlie Byrne, who's a Murray Bushrangers kid who's also on our VFL list, and Bakes. So he really impressed everyone when he came down to the point where he didn't get that last list spot, but everyone was really impressed with him, so wanted to keep him around. So we signed him to our VFL list. I'd guess he's 191, 192, sort of. He's quick for his size, but pretty well put together, sort of back flank / maybe centre half back at VFL level.
Okay.
At AFL level, he'd probably be more your sort of half back, on the not quite so bigger bodies.
Yeah.
But he's quick. He finds the footy really well. He probably, if there's one area he needs to work on, he probably needs to work on his ball use a little bit. But, that's not to say it's bad, just probably not elite at AFL level. But, he's a really good talent. He's also a terrific organiser and leader down in our back half, which we need.
Yeah.
So he's slightly more experienced than we have a very young list, and he's 22 or something. So he's that slight bit older. He's actually a Canberra boy, I think. So he's spent the last few years playing in the ACT and was in the Sydney Swans Academy for a couple of years.
Okay.
So that's the background on Bakes. He started really well too. He was terrific on the weekend.
Lovely. Sounds like a promising one. And one last man has been on the list before. Joshy Tynan got a fair bit of the ball as well. How do you see Joshy's game?
Yeah, super. He's a world champion bloke. JT, I love him. So I love seeing him play well. He wasn't. I think he wasn't quite sure whether he was going to come back to the program or not, and then did. And I'm wrapped he did. He provides great leadership for us. He had several years on Melbourne's list and actually on the AFL list, and got ended up with some concussion issues, which is why he wears a helmet now. But he had to retire from AFL footy from concussion issues. But after a couple of years away, he got the all clear, came back to our program a few years ago, and he's been terrific for us ever since he has. So he had a really good day off half-back on the weekend, particularly actually when it got wet, which is interesting because he's a skillful sort of player. But when the rain really came down, as it did at one point, he adjusted really well, did the old flat hands routine, and I thought he played really well, JT.
It's been a while since I've seen someone in Essendon jumper thrive in the wet, so that's very, very good news to hear, Paul.
Indeed. Hey, I should mention, by the way, because I know everyone's always interested, but I thought Tommy Hurd actually played really well on the weekend.
Yep.
I thought it was probably his best game for us among a whole heap of other people, but Hurdy, for obvious reasons, is one that I get asked about a lot.
Yep.
So I thought I'd mention that he had a really good day, I thought, and probably his best game for the club since certainly that I've seen. So he was good.
Still a back pocket?
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna. He'll spend a fair bit of time down there. I would think it's a good way for people forget because his last name's Herb, but
Yeah.
he literally hasn't played footy since he was 14 years old at school footy or something.
Yeah.
Good way to bring him back in.
Yeah, so I always think, and some coaches disagree, but I always think it's a good way to, when guys haven't played a lot of footy, to get the footy in front of them, coming at them, so they can see it coming and, run straight lines at it, and rather than sort of having to make the players a forward and make space and do all that. I think, starting with the footy in front of you coming at you is a good way to play, I reckon.
Well said, Paul. Well said. Now, the boys are playing the Blue Baggers, Carlton, next Sunday, 12:05 at Windy Hill. They're not associated with the Northern Bull Ants anymore, are they?
No, they're not. No, they split.
Okay.
So the Northern Bull Ants, the Northern Blues, now Carlton and the Northern Bull Ants. They're two separate clubs now.
Gotcha, okay.
So the Northern Bull Ants, which, originally everyone will know as Preston, they're back in, which is terrific. It's great to see those sort of foundation kind of clubs back in the VFL. But, we've got Carlton on the weekend, who absolutely smoked Brisbane on the weekend, who beat us by 10 goals the week before. So
big task ahead.
Yeah, good challenge. I'm not, I had a look at Carlton's list, and there's plenty of familiar names on there, and, nothing sort of too startling. A few ex-Bombers there, actually, who are doing pretty well. But, they've obviously got a really good program going, and it'll be a great test for us. Coming off a good win. So hopefully we're up to the task.
Fingers crossed, Paul. Fingers crossed. Well, 12:05 at Windy Hill for those who are keen to watch a double header. Get on down and support the boys. Paul, thank you once again, and we'll speak to you next Monday.
No worries, boys. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. There was Paul Cousins with the VFL Wrap as we wrap up for a Monday evening. What's on for the week, Damo? Watch the highlights a few more times?
I might just watch the game again.
I watched it today. It was good.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good.
I was too busy with my real work. Not a whole lot this week. I'll be keeping it pretty low key. Getting warmed up for Sunday again.
Sunday.
They've done that on purpose.
Yeah,
because they're struggling to get people to Sunday games and televised Sunday games. And what do? They bloody throw us in there.
Yeah, fair. Look, we haven't been playing the most amazing footy.
Because we've got passionate supporters that will rock up. That's
why. Oh, no.
And Blues. It's going to be a blockbuster.
No, that is. Like, that is for that game. But, like, you look at some of the other fixtures we've got. Like, Freo 110 at the Dome and then North 440.
What day is the Freo one on?
I think that's May 10, 9, 8. I think it's that week. But either way, that's, like, fair enough when you're down the bottom of the ladder, and obviously we had a pretty slow start.
Yep.
Fair enough that you cop those fixtures. I think it would have been maybe a little bit more balanced if we didn't have this kind of rolling fixture thing. But, that's what it's going to be. The Friday night games are all just going to be the top teams at the moment. So we're probably not going to see any more Friday nights this year. We had a Thursday and then maybe a couple of Saturdays. I prefer a Saturday to a Sunday.
Yeah.
If I had the opportunity.
We were so close. So we're 2-4.
Yeah.
We could have been 4-2.
We could have been, which is crazy to think.
What was it, 3 points to Sydney and 1 point Hawthorn?
Yeah. Look, the Sydney one, Sydney one's by the by for me, but
Yep.
it's the Hawthorn one.
hurts.
The Hawthorn one hurts. Like, we should have won that game.
And it's Hawthorn.
And it's Hawthorn. Like, I hate that club. And it would have been pretty nice if we were sitting 3-3, a game clear of Carlton and 2 games clear of Collingwood.
Yeah.
Definitely would have been very, very happy and gloating a lot more. And, the conversation might be different. Like, it was funny. I said to you guys after we smashed St Kilda, I was like, have you changed your perspective of where we could finish this year? But I still think we're going to finish in the lower third.
Yep.
Maybe at the higher end of that group, the way we're playing. But look, it's a very long year. Flags aren't won in April, although if you ask Melbourne supporters, they might tell you otherwise. So
lid's off.
Lid is off for the D's, but we're certainly eyes forward for the future at the moment. But Damo, thanks for coming in once again.
No, thank you for having me in, Rob.
Monday. Thanks, listeners. Thanks to all the Horde subscribers as well, those who are supporting their premium show. There's another show coming into you this Thursday, maybe with a guest, maybe not. Plenty to talk about with Carlton, though, so we're going to have a very fun show Thursday night. And, go check it out on the YouTubes as well if you want to see our ugly lids talk about the Bombers.
Definitely don't.
See you later. Go Dons.
Go Dons.